Williams here with Money Reverse. It is Money Monday. Come right on in. I had a few technical difficulties, but I got it set up again. Let's do this. Let me know where you're watching from. Just say it's Money Monday in whatever city and state you're in. Come right on in. Come right on in, everybody. Yeah, it's Money Monday. Does everybody know what Money Monday is? Does everybody know what I mean when I say Money Monday? I'm making sure that I'm live here. Yeah. So come right on in. Say hello in the chat when you arrive. Let me know that you can see me and hear me. Now, if you're on Twitter, I know you're not able to respond to me. That's quite all right. What you can do is when you get an opportunity, just post something on my Twitter timeline there and let me know that you got something from the message or from the lesson or not. So just say hello in the comments when you arrive, everybody. I want to make sure that you hear me and see me. It's Money Monday. Today is August 1st. And August is my birthday month. So here's a concept. What I have been doing for the last number of years is for my birthday, I celebrate for a month. And the way I celebrate is I say, I'm going to put extra energy in doing me. Extra energy in doing me. I don't need you to buy me nothing. I don't want you to give to some charity that you haven't heard of before. But what I am going to do is do me. And what me is what the Lord has called me to do in this season. And it is to teach about managing money following Christian biblical principles. So I'm going on overdrive in the month of August, every single day in the month of August. This August, and probably I think I've been doing this for 5 years, you will find a lesson or a teaching or a tip from me on my social media channels, on my Twitter, on my Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. You're going to see once a week when we do our Money Mondays. You'll also get newsletters from me with some information and all of this is to help you to grow and to become better in managing money and resources. That's the goal. So with that is what my goal is, and I want to do that all the month of August. So that's where Money Mondays come in. That's where Money Mondays come in. Now, when you arrive, can someone just say hello in the chat and let me know that you're there? Whether you're watching on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter. I know Twitter, I can't hear from you, but on the others, I want to hear from you and just make sure that you hear me, that you see me, and that everything's good. I did have a few technical difficulties. Now, what we're going to talk about today is a good report. A good report. Now, the reason that I want to talk about a good report is that I want you to really be aware of the need to have a good report when it comes to finances. Thank you so much, Harold. Thank you so much, Alicia. So good to see you both. Having a good report financially is important. And most of us know that. I know if you're watching Money Reverse, you definitely have a desire or an interest in being elevated in the area of finances. That's why you're here with Money Reverse, because that's what I do. That's what I say. I'm not going to sit here and beg anybody to say, please watch your spending. I'm not going to beg you. This ain't no boot camp. I'm not going to say stop shopping. That's not what we do here. We're here trying to go to the next level. So if you want somebody to beat you up and beg you to start managing the resources, God's resources that he's entrusted to you, that's not me. I'm not going to do that. But what I am going to do for those that are ready and willing to move into financial elevation, Money Reverse is for you, because that's where we're going. Now, I want to talk to you about a good report. Let's get started. And when I say a good report, what I want you to know is in finances and in anything, your reputation is what we're talking about here. And your reputation is all about your past. Your reputation is all about your past. And the reputation is the root word of reputation is repute. So I know in some settings or in some movies and books, they say, they come from a background of ill repute. That means in the past, this person's actions is not something that is very desirable, that's not very recommended, that's not very, it's not something that we want to talk about. So your financial reputation, it's really about your past. It's not about your promises. It's not about what you said you're going to do now. It's not what you've been to do. Your reputation is based on your past, your financial past. So what we got to do now today is tomorrow's past, right? What you do today is the past when it comes to tomorrow. So what we want to do is make sure that we're doing on a daily basis the things that's going to make our financial reputation strong and very desirable, because that's the way that we have to move. That's the way that we're going to move forward in finances on this earth, is that we have a reputation that is noteworthy. Now, what does the word say about this? Money reversing the substandard financial conditions in the body of Christ. There is no way that I can talk about money without talking about God. Yeah, I just can't do it. I can't do it. So what I want to share with you is a little bit about what the word says about a good report and a good reputation. I just want to give you two instances that we're going to talk about right now. So let's take a look. There's two instances that I want you to be aware of. The first thing is being credible establishes a solid foundation. We can find this in Proverbs chapter 15, verse 30. It says, a good report makes the bones healthy. A good report of any kind. If you get a good report about your children, you get a good report about your grades, good report about your health, good report about your finances. It makes the bones healthy. It is a solid foundation that can take more, that can hold more weight, that can do more things. Amen. And the second point I want us to make is faithful in little, faithful in much. Take a look at Matthew chapter 25, verse 21. His Lord said to him, well done, good and faithful servant. You were faithful over a few things, and I will make you ruler over many things. Enter into the joy of your Lord. Again, that's Matthew chapter 25, verse 21. Again, a good reputation is a great foundation. And financially, if you hire me as your financial coach, the first thing we're going to do is go look at your reputation, because we want to make sure that we understand where we come from and where we're trying to go. And if that reputation, if you say, Carolyn, and I did have a client that was like to say, Carolyn, I didn't do those things. Those things that you see on my report, I didn't do that. I know you don't believe me. I said, no, I believe you. I believe you. Because it is very easy for someone to not report your past correctly. It's very easy. I'm not going to say people don't care, but people don't care. If your information's not right, you're going to have to be the one to identify it and make sure that it's right. And that's what this session is about, a good report. We want to make sure that we establish a good report here, a good financial report, and that we know what it is that we're attempting to do here. Make sense? If that makes sense, just say that makes sense. Okay. So what we want to do here is talk about who has these reports. Who has these reports that I'm talking about? Now, when we talk about financial reports, we're talking about a consumer reporting agency, CRA, a consumer reporting agency. What are we talking about when we say a consumer reporting agency? If we know about a consumer reporting agency, we do. If you've ever pulled your credit report, you have reached out to 3 major consumer reporting agencies. Let's talk about what they do. These are, number one, they're businesses. So they're institutions that collect, store, and sell information that's used to determine credit worthiness of an individual. So these are they're institutions, but remember, it's a business. Ain't nobody here for volunteer. This ain't no ministry, y'all. The data collected here include current and historical financial behavior information. Now, the consumer information that these institutions are capturing and collecting, it is sold to companies that make decisions on credit applications. When people are looking to extend credit to you, if they're looking to hire you, if they're looking to have you volunteer, if they're looking to, open an electrical account for you, you want to go and you buy a house and you need to get gas and water and all of that turned on. All of these people pay consumer reporting agencies to get this information from you. Now, we're very familiar with, most of us are very familiar. I don't want to assume. If you are familiar with our major credit bureaus, Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian, if you say, I know the credit bureaus, because I'm assuming that we all know about the credit bureaus, but if you don't know, no shame in that. We're going to talk about them here too. But what I want to do is take us a leap further from those credit bureaus, because those credit bureaus are what we say we got to keep our credit score high when you get ready to buy a house, buy a car, get a job. This is what most people are looking at. Yeah, I'm seeing your comments to say, yeah, I know them. Yes. If you don't know them, never fear. We're going to go through that. I don't want you to be ashamed if you're not familiar with them. But if you are the right person to be here, because we want to take a leap further. And I want to tell you more about consumer reporting agencies and tell you about more consumer reporting agencies that you probably didn't know exist, and that we probably need to investigate what our reports are with these agencies. Thank you. I see your comments. Most of you do know about these consumer reporting agencies, the credit bureaus. Now, I want to tell you about the Fair Credit Reporting Act. Let's think about this. Whenever these consumer reporting agencies, they're collecting information about you, what's happening is you go in and you establish a relationship with somebody. Suppose I bought this water bottle. My water bottle is always my example because I love my water bottle. I went, hold on. I took my niece to the doctor and I left my water bottle in the waiting room there at the doctor's office. This was a couple of weeks ago. And so when I got home, I said, oh my God, I left my water bottle. I called my niece. I said, can you call the doctor's office and see if they have my water bottle? She said, yeah, they're holding it. And I said, I'll come by and get it tomorrow. I went and got the water bottle the next day. The lady picked it up and she goes, it still has ice in it. I go, that's why I came back to get it, because it'll hold ice for several days. So I love my water bottle. It's always my example. This water bottle is worth a lot of money. I bought this water bottle and I'm paying for it over time. I've made an agreement with Water Bottle Incorporated, and I said, I am going to pay you $1 a month for 12 months for this water bottle. I work with Water Bottle Incorporated. I pay them $1. Water Bottle Incorporated has been contacted by consumer reporting agencies and said, can you just tell us how she does on her payments? And Water Bottle Incorporated says, I ain't got no money to do that. I can't tell you nothing. They say, don't you worry about it. We're going to give you computers. We're going to give you data lines. We're going to give you everything you need, so it won't cost you anything to report her information to us. So I pay Water Bottles Incorporated for this water bottle. Water Bottles Incorporated takes my payment information and sends something to credit reporting agencies and tell them. I'm not involved in that at all. It's me and Water Bottles Incorporated, but then they're taking my information and sending it to somebody else. And I don't know about it. I don't get to see it. The next time I want to buy these glasses from Glasses Incorporated, the first thing they do is say, tell me about Carolyn Williams. What's her history? They say, well, if Water Bottles Incorporated, she hasn't been paying her bills on time. She pays them, but she's never on time. And I go, well, they say, so we don't want to do business with you. So with that, I go, wait a minute, you don't want to do business with me over some information that somebody said, and I don't even know what that information is. I don't have access to that information. That's between Water Bottles Incorporated and Credit Reporting Agency. And with the Cray people, it's them and the Cray people. You know what I'm saying? So that's just not fair. So what happened is our federal government came up with the Fair Credit Reporting Act. And they had to make some rules for these reporting agencies to operate by. It's important for you to know these rules because when you understand what they have to do by law, it helps you to know what you can do. So if you are someone that has a business that is helping people to clean up their credit, I apologize because I am going to tell them information right now where they will never need to hire anybody to help them clean up their credit. If you are a follower of Money Reverse, don't ever pay anybody to get your credit clean. When I show you what these rules are and what they have to do by law, you will realize how much power you have, and you don't need to pay anybody to do this for you. Now, if you do pay somebody to do it, let it be because you don't want to, not because you don't understand how or you think that you can't do it. So I'm going to go through the Fair Credit Reporting Act. This is a federal law, and it regulates these credit reporting agencies. I'm going to go through each of the green dots. Number one, the credit reporting agency must disclose your credit file to you upon request. Because they're reporting this information, Water Bottles Incorporated reporting to the credit agency, and I don't have access to it, what they said by law, if I ask them, they have to give it to me. It's my information. I didn't create it, but it's about me. I got a right to see it. So once you ask for your report, they must give it to you. Number two, they must limit access to your personal financial information, meaning they can't just give your information to anybody. It's for permissible purposes only. You have to give permission for them to give that information out. If anybody has your financial information, maybe not your name and your address and all of that, but your financial information about your credit card accounts and things like that, anything that has to do with numbers, then you have to authorize that. They can't just give that out because people are asking for it. And most times you do that authorization when you sign an application to get a job, to sign up for an apartment, to get a credit card. That's when bottom line says you're giving us access to go to your credit information. When you sign that, that's what you're doing. Number three, they must get your consent before providing your financial information to an employer. They cannot give it to people that are thinking they want to hire you without you giving your consent. Because first they said it was the financial information, but then employers were going behind their backs and kind of pulling things. Employers kind of got out of line there for a while. So now they can't give your information to an employer without your permission. And that comes on the application when you apply for a job. That's what you're saying that they're able to do. Now, number four, they must investigate information on your file that you say is not correct. All you got to do is say this isn't correct. And by law, they have to investigate it. They have to investigate it. Make sense? So that's why you don't need to pay anybody to do this for you. They're not doing anything really special because by law, this company has to do the investigation. All you got to do is say that's not right. And they'll go through an investigation, and they have 30 days. They have to get back with you within 30 days in that investigation. The next one, they're obligated to correct or delete inaccurate information on your file. After that 30 days, if it's found that information cannot be validated, they have to delete the information, correct it or delete it. If you have information on your credit file that you find is not correct, you don't want it corrected, you want it off. You just say, I want it off. I want it gone. You don't want to have any instance of anything lingering around that's not correct. So don't say correct it. Say, I want it off. Poof, gone. Whatever, I don't care. Whatever you have to do, I want it off my record. The next person that looks in my record, I don't want any inkling of it. Don't even say it was wrong for 2 years and then we corrected it. You want that off. That's kind of the golden rule that I go by. Off, off, off. Okay. The next one, they're obligated to delete outdated information. They can't keep information on your credit report forever. That's good information or bad information. So any credit data has a 7-year life, and bankruptcy data has a 10-year life. After 10 years, it should be off, off, off. After 7 years, it should be off, off, off. Now, different companies are doing some different things to kind of get around that. But if we went into a full credit cleanup session, we would talk about more of that. But for the most part, 7 years for credit data, 10 years for bankruptcy data. The next one. These CRAs must disclose your credit score to you upon request. When you say, I want to see my credit score from you, now this is with the major credit bureaus, they have to give it to you upon your request. Now, they did not say that they had to give it to you for free. It did not say that they had to give it to you for free, but they have to give it to you because it's their information that's used to calculate your credit score. So now, and what the Fair Credit Reporting Act did is it put a limit on how much they can charge. They can't say, yeah, for $85, we'll give you your credit score. They set a max price at a reasonable price, and today that max price is $13.50. If you need to see your credit score and you don't know how to get it for free, you can get it from any of the credit bureaus, and the maximum they will charge you is $13.50. That is the law. Okay, they must add identity theft and active military duty alerts to your file upon request. If your identity has been stolen, or if you're on active military duty, those flags can be added to your account. The reason is so that people that are requesting to, when you are requested to have new accounts opened, people that are doing those inquiries, they can see, yeah, don't open any account for this person because they're on active military duty, which means they're probably not here in the US. So why would they be opening a new credit card account with store number ABC? Or they have identity theft, so they're not opening any new accounts. It's probably a fraudulent request. So they can flag your account so anybody requesting to see your information will know, don't give them an account. And then the next thing, they must correct the effects of identity theft. Suppose your identity is stolen, and yeah, it shows that you bought 18 water bottles, 5 computers, and you didn't pay for any of them. Yeah, that actually did happen with your name, but it was a result of identity theft. So even though that actually did happen under your name, once it's flagged as identity theft, they must remove that information off. You don't want it corrected. You don't want it, addended to. You want it off. So they must remove that information. So this is the law. So think about this. This is the law. If they have to do all of these things and everything that was here was upon your request. Upon your request, you don't have to negotiate with them. They know the law. You make a request, bam, stuff just starts happening. That's why it's simple to get a good report and to keep a good report. Okay? Now, I want to share with you, if I say anything that's not making any sense, just kind of share with me. I got some questions, and I'm going to answer all of your questions at the end. But you can start typing your questions in the comments if you want to. Now, let me tell you about a new, not a new, it was 2003, it's not new. But the Fair Credit Reporting Act was all good. But what started happening is that was in effect for our 3 major credit bureaus. When that Fair Credit Reporting Act was written, it was really for those 3 major credit bureaus. Then all these other companies started popping up, and they were just doing whatever they wanted. Everybody did what was right in their own eyes. They didn't have to follow those credit bureau, the Fair Credit Reporting Act, because I'm not reporting her credit. I'm reporting something else. So there was a 2003 amendment to the Fair Credit Reporting Act. And what it said is, number 1, because consumers are being judged on information that they can't see, and you are collecting information on them, credit reporting company, but then you're going to charge them for a report, or you're going to make them have already been denied to get a report. So what they said is right now, all consumers, if you make a request, you get a free copy of your credit report every year. So that way they don't make money on you just trying to find out what you have going on in your file. Because they were making money left and right. Remember, this is no ministry here. They were gathering your information. They were selling it to people that make a request. Then if you say, wait a minute, I want to see my information, they were selling it to you. So it's like, wait a minute, something right. The consumer is getting the short end of the deal. So what they said is you have to give the consumer one free report every 12 months. They deserve to see what's on their file, and you don't need to make money on that. So that was the Fair and Accurate Credit Transaction Act. This is an amendment to the Fair Credit Reporting Act. Now, the second thing that happened here was the consumer rights, all of the rights that I just went through for the 3 credit bureaus, that became the law for all consumer reporting agencies. All consumer reporting agencies. So you go, okay, Carolyn, why is that significant? That is significant because what happened was after businesses were disrupted, but it got to be that all of the information that companies were needing to see to make a determination about you was not in your Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion bureaus. What if you were looking to rent an apartment and they wanted to see what was your rental history? That's not in your credit bureau report. What if you were applying to volunteer at a very, sensitive place and they want to know more about your criminal background? That's not in your credit bureau report. What if you were applying for insurance and you want to have a lot of life insurance all of a sudden? So how would they know what you've done with insurance in the past? How would they know, if you have a history of certain medical conditions? That's not in your credit bureau report. So all of these other agencies started saying, we'll collect that information. We'll collect information on rentals. We'll collect information on how much they return to retail stores. When I show you all the stuff that they're collecting, anytime you see anything that you didn't know, just say, I didn't know that. Or, wow. I want you to respond. I want you to react. When I start showing you all the companies that are collecting information on you, and because of the Fair Credit Reporting Act and the Fair and Accurate Transaction Act, you have access to get these reports just like you do with the credit bureaus once every 12 months, and they have to follow all of the rules that I just shared with you on if the information's not correct. If it's identity theft, they need to take it off. They need to take information off after 7 years for credit, 10 years for bankruptcy. They have to, all of these credit agencies have to do that. So right now, what I promised you in the advertisement, that I said, we all know about the 3 credit bureaus, right? I'm going to tell you 18 additional companies that I want you to be aware of, what they collect on you, and give you information so that you can request your reports if you want to do that. If that's something you're ready for, just put in the comments, ready. Just put in the comments that you're ready. Okay, so let's get started. We are going to get started first with our national credit bureaus. The national credit bureaus, these are the ones that I shared with you, and I asked if you were familiar with them, and most of us are familiar with our national credit bureaus. What they do is they collect how much credit you have, how much you use, any loan payment history, information from debt collectors, any medical debt over 180 days delinquent, bankruptcies, liens, and judgments. So this is what's at the credit bureau. So with that, here's the information about the credit bureaus. If you don't know this information, I want to tell you a simple way to do this is go to annualcreditreport.com. One website gets you access to all 3 of these bureaus, and you can request your report once a year. Here, the mailing address is the same for all three, but look at the bottom. I want to share with you some additional information. Earlier in the year and last year, I shared with you when COVID hit, there was a part of the COVID Act, what the CARES Act, that's what it was. It gave access to credit reports every week through COVID, and it was supposed to end in April 2022. They extended that to December 2022. So what that means is you can get, if you want to go get your Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion report every week, you can. You know, you probably don't need to, but I just want you to know, if you had something to clean up on your report and you go clean it up, you can request your report again in 4 weeks or 6 weeks and not have to pay for it. So you can get your reports weekly from these three credit bureaus until December 2022. This was a part of COVID because there was so much going on with people not paying rent, people being given grace to not pay bills, but people needed to check their credit reports and make sure that, yeah, the government said I didn't have to pay rent, but what is my landlord reporting this information and making my credit go bad? So they said, we'll just give everybody access to their credit reports. So just know you can get them every week until December of 2022. Equifax was a part of a settlement. They had a data breach and they had a settlement in 2019. So even after the weekly reports for all of the bureaus is up, with Equifax, they're offering you 6 reports a year until the year 2026. Now, that's only with Equifax, and that is because they had that huge data breach, if you guys remember that. So what they're doing is giving everybody access to more reports just to make sure that you're not compromised. Now, just want to let you know, if anybody here is an active duty service member or a National Guard member, these credit bureaus offer free credit monitoring to you guys. All you have to do is request it. So this is information about our national credit bureaus. So if you have any questions, just let me know. And if you need to take screenshots of this or go watch this video over and over again and stop it and take screenshots, you can do that. Okay, that's the credit bureau. Let's talk about some additional agencies. Now, take a look at this little red box in the bottom right-hand corner. Remember I said we talked about the 3 credit bureaus and I was going to give you 18 more. So that'll make a total of 21. We're going to be counting right here at the bottom right-hand corner. Let's go forward. That's 3. Let's talk about banking history, check screening, and check history. Now, these are companies that are monitoring what you do with your banking account and checking account. They're looking for bank records, any unpaid negative account balances, overdrafts that haven't been paid, check writing, check bounces. They are also looking at fraudulent information, your checking account history, seeing how many accounts have you opened, how many accounts have you closed, and what's the reason for those closures. If you have an issue getting a bank account open, or if you know of somebody having an issue getting a bank account open, this is where you need to go to see what these banks are saying about you. This is not on your Equifax, Experian, or TransUnion account. So take a look. Here's 2 companies here. Certegy Payment Solutions and Check Systems. Now, there are others as well. I'm only giving you some of these. I have found so many companies that do this with banking services. I think there's a total of, I found about 7 of them. I'm only giving you 2 right here. These are the 2 that are very popular. I also did some research to say which ones are the most popular, which ones are businesses reaching out to more often, and those are the ones that I'm sharing here. So if you need to see what your banking history looks like, I would say reach out to these companies. You can go straight to the websites, or there's a phone number and there's a mailing address here. My suggestion would be to go to the websites, and that way you can do it pretty quickly. There's 2 accounts here that makes a total of 5, running total of 5 in the bottom right-hand corner. Let's move forward. Employment screening. Now, if you are looking for a job, employers do background checks. We do know that they're not pulling your Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian reports, right? They're pulling much more. They're going to companies that say, we will gather all of the information on employment screening. Now, that information includes your credit history, it includes your credit score, but it also has background verifications, your employment history, it has your address history, credit history, salary verification, education and licenses. Do you have degrees? Do you have certifications? It's verifying your social security number to make sure you didn't buy the social. It's seeing if you have any fingerprint information in any databases, including criminal databases or governmental databases. If you have any arrest or convictions, they're going to see that there. It's looking at your driving record. Do you have tickets? Have you had a number of accidents? Have your driver's license been suspended for any reason? The results of any drug and alcohol testing. Excuse me, I had to sneeze. Drug and alcohol testing is going to be there. And if you've done any nonprofit volunteering, all of this information is going to come forward in employee screening. Now, there are so many of these companies. Now, if you did not know this, type in the comments, I didn't know that. But there are so many of these companies. I found over 22 companies that do this. I'm giving you 5 of them here. These are the 5 that I found to be the ones that employers are hiring the most, the ones that employers are using the most. And what's interesting is that different employers use different ones for different reasons. This Accurate company that's in Irvine, California, who tends to use them are companies that require you to have license but don't require you to have a drug test. So they tend to go there to this Accurate company. The second one, Checkr. Recruiters tend to use Checkrs. Companies are hiring recruiters to do all of their background investigations for them. A lot of recruiters tend to use Checkr. They have a lot of AI, a lot of connection with other softwares and different things like that, which makes it easy for recruiters to tie all of their systems together. HireRight. HireRight is another one. They integrate a lot with ADP and Paychex, a lot of the big payroll companies. So a lot of your bigger companies will use HireRight because they have gotten the integrations down smoothly. IntelliCorp. A lot of healthcare and nonprofit companies use IntelliCorp. IntelliCorp is owned by, I think they're owned by Experian. They're owned by one of the major credit bureaus. And then Sterling. Sterling they specialize in criminal records. So companies that are hiring individuals that may have some questionable background, or if the criminal record is a big deal for your company, a lot of them will go with Sterling Check. So there's the information for these companies. Now, one thing I want to tell you is that because you have to grant permission to have these individuals pull a lot of this information, many of these companies will not have a report for you unless you have authorized an employer to do a background investigation on you. So if you go and request your reports from all of these companies, it's very likely that they won't have a report for you unless an employer that you've used in the past uses them. It doesn't hurt to request it, but if it comes back and they don't have a report for you, don't be alarmed. The best thing to do is to, when you are applying for a job or considering a job, talk to HR and ask HR which screening company they use. When they tell you the screening company they use, then you will then go and request your report, just so you can know, number one, what they have on you, and that you can be aware of what's going on, what they have on you, and that you can correct that with that particular company. Now, it doesn't mean that the other companies don't have it, but this one's a little bit tricky because there's so many of them out there. Many of them will start to pull this information after an employer has submitted your name to them. And the employer will only do that after they have a signed authorization from you in the form of that application to pull your background check. So this one's a little bit tricky. You may request them. I haven't requested, the last time I did this, I'm seeing so many new companies out here that I'm going, wow, this stuff changes so often that very few of these companies I'm recognizing. I'm finding over 20 of these companies. They're just popping up They're just popping up. We'll collect that information. So I just want to let you know this one may be just a little bit tricky. Okay. Now that is employer screening. There's 5 of them. So we're up to 10. We're up to 10. I'm going to own up to my promises. Tenant services. These are people that do your background investigation if you are looking to rent. If you are looking to rent, or if you're getting ready to buy a house for the first time and they want to look at your rental history, they go to these companies. None of that information is included in your credit bureau files. So there's a list of companies that provide tenant services. They'll give credit history, eviction information, rental history information, criminal background information to landlords. They'll give it to landlords and property managers. So landlords and property managers are who reach out to these companies. I said, which companies are landlords and property managers looking out to most often? Overall, and it was very different. It was very different. The overall best company that landlords and property managers are reaching out to is First Advantage Residential Solutions. They're in Atlanta, Georgia. You can see their phone number and website here. And then another one is RealPage. It's called Leasing Desk. They are in Richardson, Texas, and they also have tenant services. So there are other companies. These are the ones that are most popular right now. I did some research over the last few weeks to look and see which ones companies are using. So if you are about to rent, or if you have some information in your rental history that you need to take care of, if you moved out of an apartment, I'll tell you, I moved out of my townhome. This was over, 25 years ago. I moved out of my townhome, and it was a, I'm not going to tell you the whole story, but on the last day, they tried to tell me, when I went to turn my key in, they tried to tell me that I owed for the entire month, even though I was moving out on the 15th. And I'm going, let me tell you what I said. I said, you a lie. I mean, I'm more saved now. I said, you a lie. Why didn't you tell me that when I turned in my notice? And they said, well, your lease expires at the end of this month. So we should have told you. I said, yeah, you should have, but you didn't. So, and I've already paid you for these 15 days. And here are your keys. Thank you very much. See, you don't want to be. And I walked away, and I did not pay for that last month, that last 15 days. They put that in my tenant report. Sure did. So when I went to buy a house 15 months later, because I moved to another townhome, and then I bought the house that I'm in now, I found that was in my tenant history. Now, did I pay it? No, I didn't pay it. But it's off. That's where I say you don't want anything corrected. You don't want anything fixed. You don't want the words changed. You want it off. Poof. You want it off. Poof. I want it gone. I want there to be no evidence. I don't want anybody asking me about this ever again. And that's what I did. Now, I did pay something, but I paid it to somebody. I paid it to the collection company and say, take it off. I said, if I pay you this today, I want you to take it off. I don't want no correction. I don't want it to show paid. I worked that deal, and it was gone. Oof. And they go, Carolyn, you have a perfect rental history. Thank you. Thank you very much. So with that, these are tenant services. So know this and pass this on to anybody that you know. I do volunteer work for an agency here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And I'm working with people that have been displaced from their homes. And part of what they have to do is get financial education. And I coach them very closely. This is something that I really share with them before we start going out, before you get to move into another place, because they're staying in the place of the agency that I volunteer with. So they're displaced, and they need to start getting their finances together and get ready to go apply for another apartment. We go through this pretty heavily. So, again, don't think this is on your Equifax and Experian reports. Okay. We're up to 12, everybody. You think I'm going to make it and give you 18? You betcha I am. Utilities. Let's talk about utilities. Now, this is an interesting one because there's only one place And this has not changed. This is a collection of all of the utility companies, telecom, utilities, water, gas, telecom, phone companies, all of this, pay TV, all of these, they have a little club, and they collect information on new connection requests, account payment history, any defaults, any fraudulent accounts associated with your telecom, pay TV, utilities, electric, water, and gas. Just one place, and everything is here. So if you need to verify, this is where I have had clients to tell me, unfortunately, parents have done this to their children. They have put utilities in their children's name because their name wasn't good. I hate to say that this happens, but this do. I can tell you, I have worked with a number of clients that we had to go and get this cleaned up from something that their parents did to them. So what I'm going to suggest is that, and I do know where someone that I know very well, their name was used with the utility company without them knowing it. Somebody else somebody defrauded this person. So they had utilities at their house and they had utilities at another house, didn't even know it. Person didn't ask them or nothing. Now the person, they know the person, and most times that happens with family. So I just want you to know, this would be a good one to check. Even if you're not getting ready to move. It's one company and they take care of all of these utilities. Now, this is more of a negative file. I'm going to tell you about a negative file in a second. Let me tell you about a negative file now. A negative file is a file that only has negative information in it. When I pull a lot of my reports, they come back clean. And the reason they come back clean is that because I don't have any negative information on them. One report that I got, it's a form, but everything's blank. It has my name at the top, it has my identifying information, and it's front and back, and it has things on it, but there's just nothing there. And that's because it's a negative file. So in a lot of these reports, if you get a report and you don't see a long line of stuff like with the credit bureaus, that's okay because it's a negative file. That's what makes it easy for these individuals to report this information very quickly to employers, to landlords, because they're only sending negative information. So no information or skimpy information is good information in a lot of these cases. And this, if no mistake, is a negative file. You're not going to see that you've been paying a utility company for 35 years on time. You're not going to see that in this file. So what you're doing is you're looking for negative information. Okay, we're up to 13. We're on our way to 18, everybody. Medical. Now, this one is interesting. Take a look here. Do you know that people are collecting medical information on you? I mean, we know that they are, but we kind of don't know that they are. In this, the companies here, they collect information about medical conditions and hazardous avocations with your authorization. Everybody know what an avocation is? If you know what an avocation is, put it in the comments. They also collect information on your prescription drug purchase history. Now, this information requires that you release authorization to this. And you typically do this to an insurance company. When you're getting a new insurance company applying for insurance, they're going to ask you to sign something that says that you have access. They can look at your medical history. And so with that, they can only do this with your authorization. But when you are requesting to get insurance, this is the first things that they're looking for. They're looking to see what medicines have you been purchasing, because they're looking at their risk. They're looking at what their risks are. You know, if you say, I don't have anything wrong with me, and they say you've been buying this pretty strong narcotic medication for 10 years, they're like, wait, what's going on here? So take a look at two companies here that I'm sharing with you. Let me see how many, did I find others? Yeah, these are the main ones that I found. I don't have additional ones for this, but take a look. MIB Incorporated and Milliman and Telescript. So there you can see the information along with the websites and the mailing address. Again, I'd recommend that you go to the websites or the phone number. Most of the phone numbers may be where you can automate it, automated request. So, but I would just suggest going to the websites if you're so inclined, if you are computer savvy. Okay. And again, if you have any questions, type them in the comments. Again, we're up to 15, everybody. Now, this is one that's very interesting. Retailers. The company listed here is, let's see, how many of these companies did I find? I only found just this one company. Just this one company. This company monitors and reports your retail product return and exchange history. They're looking for instances of fraud and abuse. So if you are always returning things, or if you're doing things like buying one merchandise from one store, trying to return it to another, taking stolen merchandise, trying to return it to a store, now they can't determine what's fraud. All they can do is capture the information. So they're capturing your return and exchange history. And they're looking for fraud and abuse. Now, they're not looking for fraud and abuse. Their clients, which are retail companies, are looking for fraud and abuse. Each retail store is going to come up with their own definition of what fraud and abuse is. They may say, if somebody returns 5 things a month for 12 months, that's excessive. One retailer may say, that's okay, because I sell, marked down merchandise, and it's possible when they get it home, it's broken. I don't know if they don't say every sale is final. If they say no sale is fine, we don't know. But all I know is this company is the one that collects all of the retail return and exchange information. So look at it. It's the retail equation. And there they are. They're in Irvine, California. You can see the website there and the phone number. This one I found very interesting. If you didn't know about this, put in the comments. I didn't know about that. Okay. Okay. So let's see. Now we are up to 16. We are up to 16, everybody. We're going to give you 18. I promised you 21. Okay, that's 16. Let's keep going. Low income and subprime. Low income and subprime. I want you to know that there are some companies that I'm going to say this very carefully. There are companies that target low income individuals, and they target subprime individuals who has a credit score so low that they cannot get credit or cannot get approved anywhere else. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I call them predators. I call them financial predators. If you are following Money Reverse, if you're watching this video right here now with me, or you're watching this on the replay, if you are involved with any of these companies, I want you to start to pulling away from this. This is not for us. This is not for us. I want you to type in the comments. This is not for us. We are people that are called by his holy name to be above only and not beneath. We are the people that are looked upon as examples. We want to be a representation of God on this earth in the area of finances. This is not for us. Okay? Whether you have to speak that prophetically and start to pull your way out of it, or if you have an opportunity to go into something like this, I want you to know this is not for us. If I can get some, thank you. Put this in the comments. This is not for us. But we're going to talk about it because this is real life. We're not going to act like it doesn't exist. Okay? Let me make it big so you can see it. So the companies that I'm listing here, they are collecting information on payday loans, check cashing services, rent to own, telecommunications account openings, and other financial services with an emphasis on lower income and subprime market segments. Did y'all hear that hitch in my voice? I'm trying to talk about this with not getting angry, but I'm not getting angry at them. This is just a business. It's just business. I'm not getting angry at them. I'm getting angry at me. I'm getting angry at me because if I'm doing what I'm called to do, then what I'm teaching is going to be shared much more broadly than it's shared now. And I'm going to have people that know they need these services typing in the comments, just like you're saying, this is not for us. Even though this is what I have been doing, this is what I'm doing now. And I know this will be an easy way for me. This is not for us. That's what I want everybody saying. So I take it as a personal failure. That's okay, because this is my calling. It's going to take me a while. If you can help me by sharing information out whenever I'm teaching, just to get my audience broader, I would appreciate that, because it's my job to tell it. I will tell it. I just got to tell it more. So I take it more, and I'm not mad at them. They're just trying to do business. I'm not mad. If you're doing business and ain't got no clients, I'm okay with that. I'd rather you not have any clients and have people lined up out the door trying to get to your services, because this is not for us. Having Christian people lined up outside the door trying to get to this services. Okay, but let's talk about it. If you or someone else has been in a situation like this and you've had to reach out to payday loans, check cashing services, rent to own, any of these services that have an emphasis. I listened to an R&B radio station the other week. I started putting on this R&B radio station when I get in the car. I don't get in the car very often, unfortunately. Because I just wanted to hear. I haven't been listening to R&B radio station. But do you know that most of the commercials on that station was about services like this? Every single back to back to back to back to back. The commercials were about service companies that fall into this category. I'm mad at me. Okay, so let's take a look at these agencies. If you have needed to seek the services of some of these agencies, then I would suggest that you pull these reports and see what you have. This is going to be a negative file, if no mistake. I haven't pulled these services. I haven't ever engaged in any of these services, so I won't have a file. So if any of you do pull in a file, I'd love to know what's on it. I'd love to know what's on it. So take a look here. Clarity Services. They are in Allen, Texas. DataX is in Atlanta, Georgia, and Microbuilt. Microbuilt is interesting because what Microbuilt does is they are the ones that say, you want to get a credit card, but your credit score is bad. We look at your light bill payment, your rent payment. We take all of that into account, and we'll give you credit based on you paying your bills on time. Microbuilt specializes in that. So there are other companies like this. Let me see how many others. I'm showing you 3 right here. There's 6 more that I found and counting. There's 6 more. These are the ones that I think are most popular, that when companies are looking to engage with one of these, to say, let me go pull and see how people are doing, they're reaching out to these most, I think. So with that, there's the information. If you know of somebody that's in this scenario, you may encourage them to pull their reports. Let's see, because it's once you get in these services, it's hard to get out. It's hard to get out. Yeah. Yep. That's what I say too, Winetta. I call them predators. They're financial predators, but they're just doing business too. I'm not mad at them. Everybody's got to have a business, right? yeah, you don't have to patronize that business. Okay, we're up to 19. I promised you 21. That means this next one's probably going to have 2. Let's see. Gaming. Now, some of you, I have the ones that I really don't care for at the bottom. If you visit casinos, racetracks, poker places, bingo houses, anything that's gaming, do you know that they're reporting information on you if they offer you credit services or if they cash checks for you? If you don't get credit services with them or if you don't cash checks with them, then you won't be a part of this. But people that tend to have a problem with gambling, they are, they know the ropes and they know the deal of how to get additional leverage in these establishments. These companies here, the 2 that I listed, are capturing information from all of the gambling houses, the casinos, the racetracks, the poker houses, the bingo houses, all of the places like that. Sports betting, I wonder if sports betting is now moving into this. Sports betting has become very big in the last couple of years. So the 2 companies, NCC National Credit Check, they are out of San Diego, California. You can see their phone number and website here, and VIP Preferred. They are from Chicago, Illinois. So with that, if you are in this world, I would suggest that you request your reports from these companies and see what's on there. Remember, they're just like any other reporting agency, just like the 3 credit bureaus. All you have to do is say, I want to get my report. You can do that once a year. They'll give you a report once a year. I think if you request a report and they don't have one for you, they'll say, I don't have one for you. I have requested reports in which I had no information. They had my name, but it was a negative file. So there was I think my utility report was a negative file. They sent me a report. It just didn't have anything on it because there was no negative information. Okay. Now, that is 21. I owned up to my promise. I provided you 18 companies in addition to the 3 credit bureaus that are capturing information on you, that you can request your reports, and I gave you all of the information to get those reports. Did I honor my word? If I did, say you did it, girl. Say you did it, girl. I need a little bit of pat on the back here. You did it, girl. It takes a lot of digging to come up with a lot of this stuff. So I'm that nerd. Like I said, I was telling somebody a bit ago that you don't want to know what goes through the mind of a nerd, because a nerd is just, our minds are just working all the time. We're always researching. And, my sister, praise the Lord for her, my sister here, she says, Carolyn, yeah, you're a nerd, but you're not nerdy. And I said, thank you, Eddie. She says, but you're not nerdy. Yeah, she says, yeah, you do have a lot of nerdy. You got some nerdy genes in you. You kind of, yeah, but you're not nerdy. You're not that nerd that we don't like being around. So now with this information, I want to tell you next steps. I want you to watch the replay. If you missed any of the company details, there's a lot of companies and a lot of information. Some of it may have been small and print. Go watch the replay, do a stop of the video, do a screenshot, or write the information down, and so that you can have all the contact information for you, and you can pass this along to anyone else that you know. If you want to share this video out so that individuals that you know can also get this information is timeless. It doesn't have to be right now. These companies have been around and they're going to be around. So you can share this information anytime. Now, what I want you to do is to request all of these reports to establish a baseline. If there's some reports that that probably have some information on you, I would suggest that you request all of them just to get a baseline. I did this, and that's how I got a baseline on some reports. And so I knew I didn't need to go back and look at these reports again unless something major changed in my life, which would cause them to have information on me. So I requested all of them, even though I knew a lot of them didn't have any information. At least I know at this point in time, and that was several years ago. And there's some that I request annually, but some of them I don't, like, gaming and, returns. I don't. But because my name is very common, I found that I do need to start requesting those as I think about it. Some of the things that I found on these reports, because my name is very common, it is sometimes people will just slap things under your name. So I think it's important for you to see it. If you find any information on these reports, then I want you to dispute any information that's not correct. Remember, by law, all you have to say is, I dispute this. And when you dispute, I want you to talk about the situation. Talk about the situation between you and the company. Don't talk about what was happening in your life. I was going through a hard time. They don't want to know about that. Just say, I did return that. I returned it to the store. I do have a receipt, or I don't have a receipt, but I did have a witness with me when I returned it. They said it wasn't returned. You just the facts, Act like you're in a court of law. And because you're going to type all this up on your dispute. It's going to be a digital dispute. You're going to type it in. Now, I want you to make note of the reports that you need to re-request. If you see some information on a report and it's incorrect, you do a dispute, definitely those are ones you need to re-request. If you see that some of these companies report very verbosely, they are reporting a lot of information, that's probably one you need to request again next year. If you are not if you're very active in some of these areas, or if you're not, but you see they have a lot of information on you, those are reports you want to get again. Okay. And then I want you to rinse and repeat. Maintain your financial reputation. Go back, watch the replay, or capture a notebook of these companies so that you can, and to get the reports, I would suggest that you don't have to go and do them all today. I would say just go and request, maybe, 3 a month. 3 a month. It's going to take them 14 days. They have to respond to your request in 15 days for a report. So they're going to get a report to you in the next 2 weeks or so. So just do 3 and look for those reports, because after a while, if they all start coming in at the same time, they're gonna come digitally more than likely. You can request to be printed or digital. When I did, I requested them to be printed and mailed because I wanted to capture them, because I was sharing this with some of my clients and individuals I was coaching. So I wanted to know what the reports look like, and I wanted to be able to walk through some of the reports with them. So I requested them to be printed, and it took a little longer than 15 days. When I just looked up the information, they'll get back to you in 15 days, but that means they're probably going to be digital. So with that, I want you to, just request 3 a month. Get those, look at them, then next month request 3 more. I mean, it's not like, and if you're getting ready to buy something or make a major transaction, you would be in more of a rush, but there's no way that there's no reason that this needs to take precedence and priority over something that's going on in your life now that's more important. You're just trying to maintain a good reputation. Those of you, I was going to say us, those of you that are very good at maintaining your weight, it just takes a little bit every day. Eating, exercising, doing the right things. You don't stop what you're doing, put everything else aside and put that as a top priority. You just roll with it every day. That's exactly how we do it finances. I'm very good at maintaining my financial reputation. Healthy eating and exercise, not so good. So with that, that's what I want you to do. Okay. I see there's a few questions in the comments. So I am going to say that's it for today. Thank you for joining me for Money Monday. It is my birthday month, and this month I am going on supercharge on doing what the Lord has called me to do. Thank you for giving me this life, Lord. Thank you for giving me this purpose. You're going to hear from me every day on my social media channels, and every Monday we're calling it Money Monday. Join me here next Monday, 7 p.m. Share this out with somebody. I want to give you some information. I'm not going to ask you for anything but for you to bless me, pray for me, and share the information out. Okay, let's look at some questions. Okay, let me see. I saw a couple of questions in the comments. So I'm going to start at the top so that I can answer them in order. Thank you so much. Thank you, Alicia. Okay. So let's see. Yeah, most of you know the credit bureaus. That's great. I'm going to show your questions. Did I hear that these ancillary companies also have 30 days to clear inaccuracies? The medical history company concerns me. Now, they have 30 days to respond to your dispute. They have 30 days to respond to your dispute. Now, what that means is they may come back and say the other company, because they're the middleman. So here's you saying this information isn't correct, and they're going to send something out to the company that you say is reporting information incorrectly, because the Bureau is just a collection house. They're just a collection house. They just gave everybody computers and phone lines and internet lines and said, give us the information. So they don't know if it's right or wrong. They got to do an investigation. Here's you. Well, here's you over here. No, here's you, and then the other company, whichever way I did it. So in 30 days, they're going to reach out to that other company. If that other company doesn't respond, they're going to say, there's nothing to dispute. There's no rebuttal to your dispute, so we're going to take it off. If that other company doesn't come back and say anything, what you say is the truth, and they'll respond to whatever you say you want to have happen. In your dispute, say what you want to have happen. I want to, remember, off. Off is the word you want. You don't want it corrected. You want it off, off, off. You know what I'm saying? Because correct those words mean something different to everybody. You don't want somebody coming up to you for another 7 years asking you about this thing that was corrected. You want it off, off, off. When you have a dispute, I want it off. Off. Can everybody put in the comments off? Off. It would have to be something, it would have to be, it would have to be a different scenario for me to say, let's ask them to correct it, because they won't get it right. I promise you. They're not going to put the words the way you say it. They may ask you, and they'll put your dispute in the comments of the rebuttal. They'll put your dispute in there. They can put those, and you can write the words you want to say, but it's just not going to look the way you want it. It never does. Okay. Let me know if that answered your question. Okay. If you have multiple major credit cards but only use one or two, does it hurt your credit score to cancel them? Yes, it will. It will. It will hurt your credit score to cancel them. The reason that it'll hurt your credit score to cancel them is because the amount of available credit that you have is going to go down. Suppose you have 5 credit cards and each one gives you $1,000 open to buy. So you have $5,000 open to buy. You spent $1,000. So you have spent 20% of your open to buy. You have 80% of your available credit open to spend. That's very good. That's very good. Anything under 37, anything 27 or under is very good. When you cancel that credit card, bam, you now have 4,000 available to spend, open to buy. You spent 1,000. Now you spent 25% of your available credit. That's worse. 25 is still under 27, so that's still good. But see what happens when you cancel the credit cards? Your available credit shrinks, so it makes it look like you're using more of your credit. What I typically try to do is I have credit cards and I'll use them before they cancel them. Lately, it hasn't worked out that way, meaning some credit cards used to cancel after you haven't used it for 10 years. So I'd go about, every 7 or 8 years, if I had a friend getting married or having a baby, I'd go to my store card and buy something from their registry and pay it off, and I'm good for 10 years, right? Then they start canceling my cards in a shorter period of time. So I typically try to keep them open. I just charge on them once or twice, maybe once a year, just to keep them open, because I don't want that available credit to go down. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let me know if that answered your question. Let's see. Yeah, girl, I was trying. I'm trying not to. I don't like a lot of strife, and I'm just not into a whole lot of strife. I love to fight. The Holy Spirit had to really fix me on that, so I try not to cause a lot of strife. And so I don't want to sit here and badger somebody's business. That doesn't make sense. I don't want anybody doing that to my business, right? So, oh my bejesus, urban radio stations make their dollars on these type of profit ads. I know. I had to turn it off, but I put the station on. And so when I get in the car, I turn it on. And so I may go to the grocery store, go run a couple of errands, and I listen, and every commercial is a financial commercial that's geared toward low income and subprime individuals. I'm mad at me. Okay, that's all I have. If anybody have any other questions, thank you so much for joining. If this is beneficial, just put in the comments. This is beneficial. I appreciate you joining me. If you're joining me on Twitter, I know you can't do any comments, but if you can just post on my timeline or do a mention of me on Twitter to say I liked it or I watched it, I got something from it, just do that and share the information out when you can. So join me again next Monday, Money Monday, and every Monday in August. Until then, everybody be blessed. Bye.